Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat. We have a very, very special guest, Brent Saunders, former CEO of Allergan, former CEO of Bausch Lomb. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is really exciting. There's so many things, given your background and what you're pursuing right now, that we have questions on. So I want to just jump into it. We talk about CEOs. We talk about running large companies on this podcast all the time. How does one become a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company? Because we know it's hard work and we know you're smart. So let's put aside hard work and intelligence to the side of it, because there's a lot of people that are smart and hardworking. You clearly have something that's different than a lot of other people. So what is it in your eyes?
Yeah, so I'm glad you wanted to put smarts and hard work aside, but let's maybe forget smarts, because I don't know if I have that. But I certainly work harder than anybody else. So I don't want to minimize that, but I get you. A lot of people think they work hard, but they don't know what hard work really is. So hard work is a lot of sacrifices. But look, I think it's no straight path, right? And there are lots of different ways people can do it. I think for me and what I have seen, what I have done and what I've seen from my friends that are CEOs, we have both a competitiveness about us, compassion about us, and humility about us. And I think those three things, and the two that you put aside, are probably the five ingredients, that you really need to become a CEO. There are a lot of really hardworking, smart people. So I get why you said that. There are competitive people that are hardworking and smart. But I think these last two, compassionate and humility, are probably the ones that define or make the difference in that population of people with the other attributes. The higher up you go, the harder it is to stay humble. When people start to cater to you or say yes to you or do whatever you ask them to do, it's harder and harder to stay humble. And so you have to work harder and harder to stay humble, to recognize the things that you do have a deep impact on people around you, that when you ask people to do things, they may stay up all night just to get something done that you may not even care that much about. To be able to be open to other people's ideas and opinions when you have the final say on something it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. It takes something very special inside of you. And so, having humility is just so important. Something I learned from a mentor that I had very early on. And then compassion. I mean, today, being a CEO isn't just about the enterprise. It's about doing good across the entire ecosystem. And, being able to practice, capitalistic compassion is important. And I think it's going to define, it is defining today's CEOs. It's going to define tomorrow's even more so, I hope.
When you become the CEO of the companies we mentioned, I'd imagine you're now in this club where the people you're meeting are just the most powerful, biggest titans of industry, presidents of countries, I'd imagine. How do you stay humble when that is the new world that you're kind of interacting with on a daily basis?
That's right. It is true. When I travel, I routinely meet with presidents or senior members of cabinets of countries in the United States or in other big commercial enterprises. The CEOs of the big banks, the CEOs of the big tech companies. We'd all mingle in the same kind of circles, if you will. Yeah. I think the reality is the way you stay humble is, first, most of those folks are pretty humble. There's certainly exceptions. There's some assholes in every crowd. But in that group, there is a lot of humility. People are just regular people, and you got to treat them like regular people. And you got to always remember, you're just a regular person. I have two teenage daughters, and that's the best way I could stay humble, is because they just thought I was an idiot about everything. And so anytime I started to feel full of myself, all I'd have to do is spend 10 minutes on the phone with one of my teenage daughters, and I was good to go.
And so, when you look up like the Allergan transaction, it's like $63 billion. I think the transaction size was. Like, how, you're deep into the pharmaceutical industry, that world, and it is probably the most important industry in the world right now, because the entire universe seems like they're trying to figure out a vaccine. And how should we be thinking about a vaccine? And, I've joked about it on the podcast of like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I believe in vaccination and I believe the power of it. And I understand what it's done for humanity. I'm also nervous about the first version of an iPhone. So I'll probably be nervous about the first version of the vaccine, especially if the president just tries to rush one out in November. But like, how should like us as regular people be thinking about vaccine?
Yeah, so I think vaccines are amazing. I'm a big pro advocate for vaccines. I get all my vaccines. My children get all their vaccines. I urge my parents and siblings to get all their vaccines. I think they do, but I'm not in the room with them. So I'm a big advocate for it. The way I would describe it is, for the most part, and then I'll talk specifically about COVID. For the most part, why do people go to the gym? It's to exercise, right? To get stronger. Why do you go out and run or walk? It's to exercise your heart, to get your heart muscle pumping more and create strength. Vaccines are in essence, a simple way to think about it, are exercise for your immune system, right? The way you get your immune system to get stronger is they develop antibodies. They get used to fighting invaders like viruses and bacteria. And so in the quantity that you get a virus in a vaccine, it is a great way to exercise your immune system and strengthen your immune system. So every year I get my flu shot. I think it's great. You should always get it. Hopefully in 50, 60 years, I'll have such immunity to various strains of the flu. I'll be in great shape. With COVID specifically, it's a pretty simple vaccine right now, which is why, in part, they can be developed so quickly. This is not a difficult to vaccinate against virus. It's not like the AIDS virus or HPV or some of the other, or herpes, which we still can't even vaccinate against. This is a very simple virus. It doesn't mutate. It's very easy to find in the body. It causes a lot of damage because it's novel, which means we have no antibodies. We have no, as humans, novel just means it's new to humans. It's never been in humans before.
Okay. I just thought people were being pompous by saying novel coronavirus.
Yeah, no, it's novel. Novel's the tag you get when it's never first in human. So there is no.
That's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, unlike flu viruses, which have been around for almost 100 years, we have lots of different levels of immunity in lots of different populations all over the world. This being brand new in humans, just somewhere around the beginning of the year, is why it's so potent, because we just have no experience in our immune system from dealing with this type of virus. The vaccine in and of itself is pretty simplistic. There are about 100 different companies working on the vaccine. There's several that are in late stages. They're using 4 or 5 different types of technologies to go after this vaccine. And this is what I would say. I would be first in line for this vaccine based on what I know today. The idea that the president is rushing this vaccine or pushing this vaccine through is to me just political noise. He may be trying to do that. We can debate that. I think the reality is the companies that are developing these vaccines, the first wave here, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, I know the CEOs of these companies. I know the people who work in these companies. They would never, ever, ever do anything to hurt somebody. No one in our industry, with almost zero exception, works in any other way to cause harm to patients. We want to do good things. We want to run good businesses. We want to solve and treat unmet medical need, help people with disease and burden. We're not trying to hurt people. Yes, we're commercial enterprises. That's how we fund massive R&D projects. But we're trying to do it in a way that helps people. Now, Let's talk about the COVID vaccine. Why would you take this versus the first iPhone? So here's the thing with vaccines. What's the greatest risk, downside of a vaccine? You actually get sick. Right. Yeah. So your risk of that, we don't know the data yet, and I'll come back on after the data is published. I'll read all the data, and we can talk about it again if you want. But the reality is the odds of getting coronavirus or COVID from the vaccine are probably going to be 1 in hundreds of thousands. That's how it's going to be measured. The odds of you getting it by walking down the street are simply higher. It's just higher in the United States from going out to the grocery store, whatever you do, out to dinner, whatever you're doing. And if you're not leaving, if you're isolating in your house, maybe then your odds are better. But if you're actually doing some things outside, your odds of getting it are higher. So I'd rather take my odds on a vaccine and get immunity than take the odds of getting it and getting really, really sick. And so it's just a risk question. Your risk is so much better taking the vaccine than not right now.
What's so interesting is just hearing you explain it. This is part of the problem with today's information source is like nobody's even explained it as simply as you just explained it. Because vaccine to me has become the mask. It's so political. And we already know there was a poll, I think New York Times said, that said like half the country wouldn't even consider it.
I know. It's a shame because to get us back to normal, right? What we perceive as normal, we need we need to build immunity or herd immunity, and the only way to do that is a vaccine or getting a lot of people really sick and losing a lot of people. And I think the choice is pretty clear, which we'd rather do. Yeah. But the politicization of COVID across the board, both sides of the aisle, all over the world, is, I think, one of the saddest things I've seen in the last several years. It really is horrific what has happened by everybody involved.
And can you walk me through kind of the arc and the way you were thinking about how serious and damaging this virus was going to be? Like, you're obviously in the know, you have the experience, you talk to senior people from all industries. When did you realize that, oh shit, this is the real deal and it's going to affect the economy in so many ways that we can never imagine?
Yeah, I think for me it was probably in very early days in March, probably. The thing I was against the way the United States approached it initially. I lived in New York at the time or was in the New York area at the time. And the way the governor there very aggressively closed the state and the mayor closed the city, I thought was an overreaction. I still believe that. I do think we should have used our resources to protect the vulnerable, the elderly, people who are immunocompromised. But I think the public health implications of closing society over time will far outweigh the harm caused by the virus. And that's a pretty serious statement considering 200,000 Americans have died. Yeah. I get that. But what we didn't have a public health expert in the room. We just had virus hunters. Dr. Fauci, an amazing guy, tremendous respect. But he's a virus hunter. His goal is clear: eliminate the virus. That has to be balanced with people who look at public health. Think of all the cancer screenings that were missed. Mammograms, colon cancer, skin cancer, prostate cancers, because people were afraid or their doctors were closed. That's going to result in millions of deaths over a 5-6 year period. We're not going to be able to even pinpoint where they were. All the children who have been isolated or taken out of school, all the inner city kids that perhaps their only source of food were in the schools that were then closed. There's so many different, the vaccines for children, right? Because wellness visits were canceled. I mean, I can go on and on and on. The implications of that we will be paying for years and years and years as a society. And no one's counting that into the equation. We're just so focused on COVID cases. They're running this counter on CNN of how many people died. If we did that with the flu, we would never have left the house in the first place. So we should have protected the old. We should have protected the immunocompromised. But we should have figured out a system, much like we have in place today, where we have social distancing. We have people wearing masks. We shouldn't have politicized that. Masks are a great protector from this thing. Good hand washing, good hygiene, and gotten people who weren't at high risk to continue their daily lives.
We've joked about this on our podcast. Let's assume LeBron James only has 2 more seasons left as a Laker. Will I be at Staples Center in the next 2 years to see LeBron James play live?
Oh, I think you will be.
Okay.
I think you will be. Yeah. I think, look, I think.
That's a big relief. I gotta see the king. Gotta see the king.
But being that I now live in Miami, I'm going to have to go with the Heat.
That stings.
Yeah. But look, this vaccine is going to be out in the first quarter. Clearly, by the first quarter, even if it's pushed by a few weeks, it'll be out in the first quarter. The data will be published, and then we'll be able to make, smart people will be able to read the data and provide opinions outside of what you hear from politicians. I'll be first in line, and then I'll be in the stands at the Heat game watching them beat the Lakers.
Well, I'm getting the vaccine too if we're going to a game. So moving to another topic that's been super interesting for us is I noticed you're on the board of Cisco Systems, which is one of the largest companies on earth. And, Kanye last week went on this rant of tweets that he wants to be on the board of Adidas and wants to be on the board of Gap, won't do anything till he gets on the board. Forget his tactics. We all agree that that's not the way to go about it. With that being said, he should have negotiated that before signing the deal to get a board seat. Then we start doing a little homework on, I've always been curious on who sits on the boards of a lot of these companies. And I had firsthand experience helping several people hopefully get on publicly traded boards in different industries. And I've noticed that they don't have a lot of background on that particular industry, but because of relationships, we're able to get those board seats. When I think about Nike and I see Michael Jordan not on the board of Nike, how does the whole board world works? Because we're not clearly in it because we're clearly missing a relationship or two. So what does it take to be on a board and what goes on there?
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about it. Look, I think Michael Jordan could be on any board he wanted to be on. I would take some of his caliber, expertise, track record, you name it. That guy's just a winner, and you want him on your board, and you want him around your team, no matter what. He makes all teams better. Put that aside for a second. Look, I think being on a board is about you'd have to have a passion for the company. It's a lot of work for relative to what you get in compensation. Now, boards are highly paid, but versus being a CEO or a vice president or a senior vice president, it's relatively less. The second thing I would say is they can require a tremendous amount of time. And your fiduciary obligation is to all shareholders and stakeholders, not necessarily to the company in and of itself. The third thing is you have to probably bring some kind of specific skill set. So, for example, at Cisco, I'm probably one of the few non-tech world board members. But what I do bring to Cisco is having been a sitting CEO up till May of this year, which is, I think, very helpful for the CEO there to have someone to talk to and bounce ideas off as a fellow CEO. I also came from an R&D intensive, intellectual property intensive global company that was highly regulated. And Cisco, being a tech company, is an R&D intensive, IP intensive global company that is now becoming very regulated like healthcare. And so I brought a lot of that expertise to the table. But when I built my boards at companies, I always tried to think of people with deep domain expertise in the industry that I was in, biopharmaceuticals, and people who could bring relevant experience. So, for example, if we were expanding internationally, let's say China was a big market, someone who had built a business in China would be important. Any kind of relatively recent sitting CEO, global CEO would have been helpful to me. Someone who brings, if you have a big issue in logistics or quality control, someone with deep domain expertise in that, even if it's not in biopharma. So you try to build your board that way. And then you look for diversity of thought, diversity of background, diversity of color, sex, you name it. You look for diversity because you want your board to be, a great melting pot of different ideas. And the one thing I always said, and I guess this is more for CEOs than board members, but people would always say, who are your advisors? When I'd be talking to investors or doing interviews, they'd say, who are your advisors? Who are your mentors right now? And I would say my board of directors. And people would look at me like, what are you talking about? I said, that's what the relationship between a CEO and a board of directors should be. Too many times so I see where it's a very formal relationship where boards over here, management's over there, and they kind of, they really coordinate and think about what information goes back and forth between the two of them. I view it, these are the people that are going to help us get through, a war. These are the people you're in the foxhole with. These are the people, that you want to build your strategy with and you bounce your big ideas off of. So I think the board has to be someone who's willing to give their time outside the meeting. So
that's, sorry to interrupt, but Kanye would be a tough board choice then.
Well, I think Kanye, based on what I know, and I've met him a few times, but it's only what I really read. I think he would be a tough board member. But then again, a guy like Michael Jordan, home run, and so I think demanding to be a board member is also a tough place to be. That's generally reserved for activists, people trying to take over a company versus, I think boards today are headed in the right direction. I think the whole corporate governance world is really going through a great change. It'll take a few more years to get to where it should be, but it's really going through a very positive change.
Interesting. And now we want to get to something really fun. It is absolute SPAC mania in the stock market right now. IPO and SPAC mania. I mean, Allergan is almost worth as much as Snowflake, right? Yep. And nobody knows what Snowflake even does.
That's right.
But we saw that you're entering that game in the healthcare space. What made you want to do that? What do you think of the SPAC vehicle? Like, educate us on what, the same knowledge you dropped us on vaccines, which now I'm like lining up for. Tell me why we should get into this.
Well, good. And then I'll work on your iPhone next time.
iPhone you can't sell me on. I know that's a scam.
SPAC is special purpose acquisition company. What they are is they're called kind of blank check companies. So you go out and you raise money in an IPO. Let's say $400 or $500 million in an IPO. You basically raise it on the back of your own credibility. People believe that you're going to be a smart investor with that money. Then you have this pool of money, and you have to go out and you have to find some company to buy. And so some people would call it an alternative to an IPO. So instead of a company going through the traditional IPO process, they go and they sell themselves to a SPAC, and they're instantly public. Why I liked it is I have some ideas of things that I think could really make a difference in healthcare. And my alternatives for raising the capital to do it were either to go to private equity, to try to raise it, friends and family on my own, or to do a SPAC. And the SPAC is, for me, the most efficient way to raise that capital. I don't have to pay $220 to a private equity guy just to loan me capital. I didn't need their expertise. I didn't need their diligence. I didn't need their, company name on my business card or anything like that. So to me, it's another way of sourcing funds to help companies go public in a way that's perhaps more democratic, right? It trades on the stock exchange. The shareholders get to vote on your IPO. And it's a little bit, in my humble opinion, it's a little bit more open. It's a little more democratic, and it allows capital to flow to help small companies become bigger companies. And so for me, it just made a lot of sense. It won't always work. There'll always be exceptions to it. There'll be financial people who come into the SPAC world just to make a buck. But I think for most part, when you see an operator like myself doing it, they're generally doing it because they have ideas on how to build a business.
So I have a question. My first job out of college, I was an investment banker. I was an analyst at Citigroup, and I worked on a SPAC in 2006, 2007, and then I hadn't heard the term or the vehicle until it didn't get in vogue till the last 8 to 12 months. What changed in the capital markets that there's a SPAC gold rush?
Yeah, I think two things changed. They were you're exactly right. They were starting to get popular in 06, 07, 08. They were starting to really take off then. And then we had the Great Recession, right? The 08, 09 recession. And a lot of the SPACs went belly up. And so just that left a bad kind of taste in the SPAC world, if you will. So they kind of went away. Now there's so much liquidity, and there's so much, the markets are so hot for IPOs. Like you said, Snowflake. Who knows what they even do and what they're worth so much money. There's just this huge demand for or appetite for new companies coming to the market. And there's so much liquidity because, we just put trillions and trillions of dollars either through the Fed or through stimulus into the economy. And most of it went to the U.S., and the U.S. stock market was the primary beneficiary of all this liquidity. So now is a good time to raise capital, and SPACs are a relatively easier way to do it. So I think that's it. It's just I think they would have kept going, and it would have been very popular today, but for the 08, 09 recession.
Got it.
And then just in general on the concept of going public, I mean, obviously there's a lot of incredible companies that are going to go public in the next 12 months, in the last couple months. But there's a lot of questionable stuff that's come out that I look at the metrics, I look at the numbers, we look at the 10K and we're like we're in fashion. We don't lose money. Our business checks all the boxes to go public. Should we just go public? I mean, like, it seems like a gold rush. I mean, like, Laird Superfood is worth $375 million and on very little revenue and heavy losses. So it's just like, that also scares me that, like, there's a lot of people here that clearly are just buying to some hype.
Yeah, I mean, look, my 2 cents would be going public isn't all it's cracked up to be, right? It creates liquidity, perhaps an alternative currency in the form of your equity or your stock. But it also creates a whole bunch of different demands around how you think about the world, how your strategy will be implemented. And so, my suggestion would be I would not go public unless I saw a clear path to growth and profitability within, a real short period of time, 12, 18 months, something in that order of magnitude. Because all you need is, and you can go public in a hot market like this, not be profitable, right? The market could turn, which can happen at any point, and then you're going to get devastated. You're going to have then somebody come in and acquire your stock either in a short or in a hostile way, and they're going to manipulate your company and take it away from you, or force you to do things you don't want to do. And that's just the system, right? It weeds out the weak over time. In a hot market like today, everybody feels like a hero, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
The second that turns, unless you have a kind of a Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Jeff Bezos, Amazon kind of story, but those are 1 in 100,000, right? Very few people are that successful. Most companies just don't get through that way.
Got it. So I have 2 important questions to ask that are more on the light side. I saw you're 50 years old. You look like you're 25. What's the secret here?
Remember, I make Botox and Juvederm and colescoping and all, and all the, not just, I make real medicines too, but I had the fun of making all the aesthetic stuff. So maybe that's it. Although I haven't,
what should I get started? I'm 40. I just turned 40 2 weeks ago. What should I get hooked on?
I don't know. You're looking pretty good there, my friend.
Okay. Some fillers under the eyes.
And look, to be fair, I don't have anything because I haven't done anything since COVID hit. But what I would say is I exercise every day. It's part of my DNA. I get up first thing in the morning, go to the gym. I've been doing it for 6-7 years now, and it has helped preserve me more than anything else. And so I do think just living a healthy lifestyle is the best way to avoid aging. And the second best way, believe it or not, I know a lot of people say this, is sunscreen. The sun is so damaging to you as you get older. You think you're invincible when you're in your 30s and 40s and you're out there in Tulum or on the Miami beach or wherever you're doing. And then, you're going to pay for that 15 years later, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. The other question I have is, what is the most important place you vacation?
The most important place I vacation?
Meaning like fun, beautiful, but like, you got to be there. Like, we have our places, like for us, like Super Bowl is important. Coachella is important. We love Mykonos. Like, those are our
right.
Like, what's
I don't know.
important?
I feel like, just going out to the grocery store since I've been in this lockdown mode is the most fun I'm going to have.
Whole Foods is it.
And I have a place in a very special, a small place on an island called Baker's Bay. It's my paradise for sure. But unfortunately, I was hit by a hurricane 2 years ago, and then COVID. So we're all rebuilding still, but I can't wait for it to get back on its feet and get back over there, because it was truly the place I'd love to go and just chill.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen Drake Instagram from there.
Yeah.
I think Justin Bieber got engaged there. That was one of the...
Okay.
Yeah. It's Yellowstone Club. It's Discovery, all those Discovery properties, right?
All those Discovery properties, yeah. Actually, I haven't been to Yellowstone. I've been dying to go there. My buddy has a place there, and he keeps inviting me, but no way to get there given the COVID situation.
Yeah. Anand's a big fan of it.
I got lucky enough to get an invite there once. It was amazing.
For skiing or for the summer?
I went for skiing for New Year's, and then I had an invitation for summer. They went to play golf, but I couldn't go.
Yeah, they're supposedly both great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy person. Very informative for all of our people because these are all topics we talk about. And like one thing we don't like to spread is like incorrect information on stuff. And you clarified a lot of things, I think, for our audience that we really needed to understand. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'll put on my Instagram when I go get my vaccine, which means, and I'll read all the studies, believe me. So then you can look at my Instagram and see that I got my vaccine. Then
That's
amazing. You're clear.
Yeah, I'll come wherever you're taking it, so I know it's good.
Deal. Done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and time for some news.
Yes, we're ready. I mean, Brent dropped some serious knowledge on a number of topics. I think the biggest being everyone should get the vaccine.
Right away?
Yes.
And
who's this Brent character? Does he work for the Bill Gates
Bill
Foundation?
Gates. And I thought, in addition to that, he said we should have never locked down. That was a mistake.
Masks and social distancing should have been enforced. But he's like, masks got politicized, so...
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we probably shouldn't have, right? I mean, I think we should have if we would have followed it.
Yeah.
Because that's what, like, the countries who did well did that well.
Yeah.
If not, we ended up here anyway.
Yeah. So you've probably been better off. I mean, how many more people would have died? Who knows? We'll never know that data. But maybe masks wouldn't have been politicized because, hey, the country's open. You get to have everything. Just wear masks.
I'm just so curious. This is going to be the craziest winter.
Because people are going indoors now.
I mean, think about it. You have an election and you have flu season and you have people indoors. You don't have the sunlight killing all the whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's, you're going to try to squeeze people into your restaurant. You're going to try to squeeze your...
Yeah, of course.
I can't imagine living in a cold weather city once it's turning cold
No,
right
you're
now.
locking down for real. Especially if you're older.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, man. It'll be a lot to talk about. So for us, from the sake of podcasters, good news.
Yeah.
Content will be flying in. Let's talk about someone else who's having some trouble with COVID. The NFL.
Yeah.
Here it comes. This is what I thought was coming the whole time. Here it comes. It looks like the beginning of the Major League Baseball. Whole teams getting pulled out. That's what's going on. The Tennessee Titans have had an outbreak.
Yeah.
And what do we do here?
I think it's a non-story. It's the NFL. Next man up.
Yeah.
Do you think the game will get postponed on Sunday?
I mean, the Titans coach already said, I don't care if we don't practice. We're playing on Sunday if we're allowed to. Because here's the risk that if you they played this past Sunday. You have 0 practices Monday through Saturday, 0 workouts. Injury risk is through the roof because they're not getting their treatment, their massage. The NFL just doesn't give a shit.
No.
They started the season with no preseason because they needed to get all the games in before the target Super Bowl date and television contracts. And we have a record number of injuries. We have stars from so many big market teams just out for the year. They don't care.
Yeah. I mean,
you want to talk about this like America thing of like, we need to just get back to work, fuck the virus. NFL is that times 10.
Yes. And what I think is going to happen by like November is like, it's going to be like The Replacements and you're going to have like your Al Bundy type characters. Literally like, hey, Joe used to play football, right? The NFL's letting, imagine NFL ratings if they said, we have open tryouts. Anybody who wants to try out, ratings would explode because there's gonna be your Kurt Warner who is like a car dealer or whatever.
This could be the next Logan Paul vlog.
Yeah,
how I made it to the NFL.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
The 2020
I think they would end the season before shit like that.
No,
I think it's gonna happen.
We're talking about a league
that's not even practical.
You play on Sunday, Pete.
Hid the long-term consequences of CTE and concussions and lied about it for decades.
You think they care about some pesky little
coronavirus, which likely the players aren't going to die from?
Yeah. Come on.
They've
been killing their players for decades.
Get them out there. They have masks on, right?
I have a feeling the amount of injuries is going to be so substantial that they're just going to be like random dudes that are going to end up in. There's going to be some crazy story in December of like some guy that ends up on like the Chiefs and gets a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm a college player, am I just like, fuck this, I'll drop out and go to the NFL?
Yeah,
if you qualify,
just let me know.
And
let me know if you got a spot.
It's such a weird sport in the sense that even when the stars go down, it doesn't affect ratings. So McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, two of the biggest players in the NFL, both went down. I guarantee their games ratings didn't go down. No. Like if LeBron goes down, no one's watching.
Yeah. That's true. That's the good thing about the masks.
Yeah, it is. It's all. If
you
it wasn't
don't
for the
even know
helmets,
who's who. You're like, whatever.
Yeah,
number
put
6,
another
number
white
3.
running back. You can't tell.
All right, whatever. I'll cheer for him as long as it's on Sunday, man.
As long as they're beating the shit out of each other. It's not good.
I can't see them canceling.
I think it'd be amazing if they just like randoms just ended up in the NFL.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the corona outbreak. We're just talking about injuries because they weren't trained properly and didn't get a practice and preseason.
And we're not talking about whole teams getting pulled.
Yeah.
Because there's an outbreak in your team and staff.
Yeah.
I just don't get, like, to me, the NBA proved that it was avoidable with drastic measures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To then go and be like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
We'll do what we always did. It's crazy.
And it's such a different sport than baseball, who ran into problems early on, because you can stack games, you can alter the schedule. This is only one a week.
Yeah.
Like you can't, if the Titans don't play this week, it's kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
Because you can't just play the game Wednesday and then another game Sunday.
Yeah, it's not like baseball.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear those conversations.
Whatever. Fuck it. Just Sunday. We're playing.
No, it's Jerry Jones.
Jerry, how many players you got? I got about 8 left. All right, let's get them out there.
You can play 8-man football.
Let's get them out there, man. I heard some couple kids coming up in the college ranks. We can pull them in there. Nobody knows the difference.
They're going to have a prison release program. Just letting people out.
Yeah, for real.
But they're busy fighting the fires right now. We're going to have to go. Like high school players.
Okay.
We'll
see what happens.
I'll play.
Play.
I used to play.
You're a big guy.
Yeah,
I'll go back
just
out there.
See you get mauled.
I will go get mauled for 10 grand.
Hey,
you pay me 10 grand to show up? I'll play
That's
again.
what I'm saying. They should let one like fan be on every team. Just gets
destroyed.
Hey, the guy from the Packers is dead. He's dead.
He's the kick returner today, and he's dead.
That's what America loves.
Yeah.
I mean,
someone getting their ass kicked.
Yeah.
There was nothing better in any sport we would play, especially in football, where you could just go cream the shit out of some little puny kid.
Like, think about it. I love the NFL as much as anyone, but it's such an unrelatable sport to someone like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not violent. I've never played the sport, but I still love it. So there must be something innate in me that I just want to see people get crushed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the old gladiator days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the closest thing we got. All right.
I mean, when you rock somebody, it's a feeling. It'd be fun.
And whether you're never going to do that, at least you get to watch someone rock
You
someone.
get to live through that 300-pound man that just destroyed, just gave lifelong brain damage to some young lad. You're like, America.
America, goddammit.
Love this shit.
Love this.
Okay. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. And we will be here to cover it and most likely make fun of it in a Southern accent.
Yes.
All right. Next up. A lot going on with cash, lack thereof, cash flow. A lot of people are in a tough spot. We've tried stimulus. Mixed reviews. We need another one. Ain't getting it. Yeah. The good news is if you live specifically in Stockton, California, you might be in luck.
Yeah.
Because apparently they're just handing out cash over there. Mm-hmm. So I say, Pete, you head over there.
Yeah, I'm just looking up directions real quick.
Yeah. Claim residency.
Oh.
See what you get.
350 miles away. I can be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
You got that, man. Gas money's covered. So what's happening? They're experimenting like, hey, what if we just hand out cash to people?
Pretty much. I mean, looks like Andrew Yang was really ahead.
Big in Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, ahead of his time in this universal basic income concept. And I think the pandemic just proved his thesis.
Yep.
Because people don't have cash to withstand long disruptions in their income. So this 30-year-old mayor, Michael Tubbs, has tried this for the last 18 months. He randomly selected 125 people in low-income neighborhoods and gave them $500 a month.
Oh, this is pre-corona.
Yeah.
So this is private donors that are backing it. So I believe he went to Stanford. So he's got.
Oh, this is an experiment.
So I think Chris Hughes, who was a co-founder of Facebook, started this project. And I think Michael Tubbs is friends with Evan Spiegel. Evan Spiegel donated. So they just went to all these tech billionaires and were like, hey, let's experiment.
I like this if it's an experiment.
It's great.
Because I've read about some of these experiments that worked. I mean, I think a lot also haven't. But I'd love to actually, look, instead of just saying like, this is what I'm running on for presidency and trust me and whatever and getting into debate, why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
Do some research, see what actually happens to these people long term, and see where we stand.
And I think it could be something where it's not like, here's the problem. When it's just like sweeping federal mandate of like, here's $1,200 for stimulus. Every city cost of living is so different.
Yeah.
It has to be done regionally. Like California can come up with a plan for Californians. This federal budget needs to pay for it. And maybe it's coupled with state and federal budget. And proportionally, each state has so much money that they can give to it.
$10K a month.
Yeah, but like, you need $10K a month to live a decent life here. Yeah. But like, I think that's a way that we effectively get through it is let states administer and figure the threshold too. Yep. Because in different states, like someone that makes, $30,000 in Indiana might be able to live.
Yeah.
Or someone who makes $30,000 in California is impoverished.
Yep.
So it's like we can't have this general mandate. So I like it. I love the idea to test it, get data. There's so many low-income neighborhoods in this country that we should take care of because it all benefits us.
Yeah.
If they all have money, we're all going to sell more shit. We're all going to, if you're a real estate agent, you'll sell more houses like we've talked in the past. So makes sense.
I think this guy's a star.
Yeah, I thought Tubbs was the opposite of a star until you said Stanford, Chris Hughes, Evan Spiegel.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay.
We need to get him on the pod. So Sneaker Steve posted him and Michael Tubbs reached out. So we're working on it.
Okay.
Let's get Tubbs in here.
Yeah.
Come on in, Tubbs. All right.
This is a name. Everyone, you heard it here first.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Rising star.
Yeah,
maybe run for president soon. Who knows?
Yeah, why not? Anyone can run for
He
president.
just has to be 35. 5 more years.
I just wish, look, I think that we see what's happening with tech. You see what's happening with, once again, I'll reference it, I'm sorry, and The Social Dilemma. You see all this stuff. These people are winning because they're basing what they do on data.
Yeah.
They're basing it on facts. They're basing it on whatever, whether it's for good or for bad or blah, 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 whatever. The point is, I just wish every decision we made had a little bit more of that way of thinking in it. Don't just be like, yeah, let's give everyone $1,000 a month and it should work.
Yeah.
Like, go test it out, prove it out, and you find the pitfalls and the whatever, and then do it. If we all acted a little bit more like Facebook, I think our cities would run better, all of our programs would run better.
So think about it. He's not going to have a problem fundraising for any future election, given who his friends are.
Yeah.
And if he's forward thinking, he's going to gain more confidence from all these forward thinking entrepreneurs that are all billionaires.
Yeah. Go Tubbs, man. Come on in. Love to chat.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about, we mentioned a couple key words there that I want to reference in this next story. Finance and election. The biggest story of the week is that good old DJT, the billionaire business titan, has paid. Is this over the last 10 years?
So in 2016 and 17, he reportedly paid $750 each year.
Got it. Each year. Okay, so the number is $750 all over the news. I've watched tax people break it down. I've watched all these different things. What's going on here? I mean, this guy's just a master at losses. He's just got a shit ton of losses.
Yeah,
what's happening?
That's really what it is. Like, I don't know if it was 10, 12, whatever year it was. He had $900 million of real estate losses.
Okay.
And he's just been carrying forward those losses for the last fucking 15
Because didn't
years.
Obama put something into place where you can carry forward those back losses?
I mean, this is pre-Obama. This is we're talking.
I thought there was an Obama change that happened that he benefited from you could.
I'm sure.
I think this makes rich people love him even more. They're like, he figured out the tax code better than I did.
I don't think it's just rich people.
I don't. I actually don't think I don't. I think there are some rich people.
Like I think they're privately calling their accountant the next day. Like what have we been doing?
Look what Donald's doing.
Yeah, but here's the problem. What people don't understand is if he is using his $900 million carry forward losses for the last decade, that means he's not made more than $900 million in the last 10 years. Not even close, probably.
Or not claimed it, right? I mean, isn't there some trickery that could happen there?
I have a feeling this guy doesn't make money.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I know. We know that. I think everyone knows that. I think that's why he's been a joke in the New York socialite circle forever, because everyone knows he's not that rich. When I'm saying not that rich, I'm saying relative to a Bloomberg. Yeah. That's why like agitated Bloomberg, who's worth $50 billion, like this broke idiot is talking like.
For sure. You know, especially that old New York billionaire circuit is like this freaking clown.
Yes.
So essentially he blew his dad's money and then wrote off his own personal income against that.
Yeah, like I looked up, I think his father passed in the late 90s, 98, 99. Let's assume he inherited $500 million.
Yep.
And I tweeted out, like, if he had just putting $500 million into the S&P 500.
With Tim Apple.
If he had put it in Apple, it'd be worth like $4 billion, $5 billion.
If he invested in the zoom out strategy, he would be the richest man.
He'd be one of the richest men in America. But instead, he tried to invest in real estate. Yeah. I mean, real estate is like one of those investments where everyone's like, you know what the safest thing? It's real estate.
Yeah.
This guy lost money in the safest asset class known to man.
Yeah. And in a time where if you look at real estate prices, they only went up. You know, stocks only go up now. That's what real estate was in the 80s and 90s.
It was that's what I don't get is all that he is good at in business, because he's good at one thing, in my opinion, is marketing the Trump name.
Yeah.
And doing licensing deals to make your buildings or hotels Trump buildings. That is a deal that's a business that seems viable. But all of the like development and all that shit, he just gets his ass handed to him.
And if you look at what one of the things that New York Times has discovered, there's two things. One is the most money he ever made was from The Apprentice. They're estimating $400+ million.
$424 million from The Apprentice.
Of all the deals.
When we say we need a TV show, God damn it.
I know. Why do I keep saying we need to be famous? I mean, I'm not trying to run for president.
You can follow the Trump model. You just talk about business.
Yes.
You don't actually run them.
Yes.
You know what's interesting?
And you get even richer.
Yes.
Okay. And write off your losses from all your businesses that are crumbling while you're on TV.
What's interesting is I remember seeing the breakdown of demographics of who watched Celebrity Apprentice.
Yep.
And it was like a large minority population, which they think helped, which was the reason in 2016, people were like, why, if you're black or Hispanic, you would vote for Trump? It's because they saw this guy as like the genius businessman on NBC every week.
Yeah. And he's in every rap song.
Yes.
He was, I mean, before this.
Yeah, Jay-Z would rap about him all day. You could argue pop culture gave us the last 4 years.
Yeah, I would almost argue that
because pop culture normalized the
rap
name.
Music.
Yes.
Gave us the last 4 years.
Yeah, and so Mark Burnett.
Remember Portnoy in the interview? He said, "I've been in like 736."
He named it exactly.
Yeah, like 7 songs.
He named it to the number.
And he knows because this is unfortunately your lower income, uneducated people across all races, colors, demographics are so easily manipulated.
I mean, he was co-signed by Russell Simmons, Shaquille O'Neal, Jay-Z.
There's photos with all of them.
Yes.
The Trump thing was, the Apprentice thing is one thing. He made all that money. His $900 million loss that he's been carrying forward for years. And then this is the scariest part. He has personal debt of as much as $420 million that he could potentially be on the hook for in the next 4 years.
He's got to win.
He has to win.
Yeah.
Because
he's got to lose and start that network.
Yeah.
No, I mean, here's what happens.
That could be more money. Look at how this.
No, I think had he lost in 2016, he would have actually been the billionaire he thought he was.
Because he would be so popular, and
the rumor was he's starting a news network.
You're right. Best case scenario was he barely lost.
And then, said they stole the election. Started pretty much a more refined version of what Alex Jones and those people were doing.
Yep.
And like he pretty much is OAN, and he goes and builds this massive media business.
Yep.
Which he would have thrived in that business. And now he owes all this money. It's unclear who the debt is to. Like, who the hell gave him $420 million?
Vladimir.
Deutsche Bank?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That starts to add up.
And I'm sure there's interest on that debt. And even if you say it's 6%, it's $25 million a year of interest.
Yeah, he's got to win. Now at this point, he has to win.
I know.
You got to keep yourself out of...
Yeah, exactly. And so if let's say he doesn't win, he's bankrupt. He's going bankrupt 100%. There's no way he can get bailed out of this much debt. Who the hell is going to pay him out of $420 million? If he becomes president, different story.
Peter Thiel.
Then Peter Thiel will come in.
No, those types of folks ditch him as soon as he's not relevant. Oh, of course.
No,
if he's not president,
fun. Don't you think that if you're in that world, there's value to you to be a big owner in a network that talks to that part of America?
Sure, that's
I think if he gets creamed in this election, the network's no longer viable.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, he lost his credibility. You had 4 years.
Yeah.
People died. Economy's in the shithole. Now we have to listen to you?
Already bankrupt. Sick. Imagine, man, I can't wait. I just can't wait to see what happens to the Trump family.
It's going to be ugly.
It's either going to be ugly or one of the juniors is going to win 2024.
No. The juniors are too doofusy. They're just
What
too
about
doofusy. What?
What about Kushner?
I bet
Kushner's no shot.
Donald faked some documents and Kushner's on the hook for some of that debt.
That's true. I bet he's on the hook for all of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, that's been the talk of the town. And I do, to Anand's point, I don't want to be too negative here, but I think a lot of the real Trump supporters are support no matter what. And I think a lot of people look at this and are like, see, that's the guy that should be our president. A guy who knows how to
evade
the system.
Payments to our government that help fund all the resources that we need to live as a country.
I think they're like, we need him to figure out how to do what he did to us, to China.
So Joe Biden released his tax returns. He paid $300,000 in taxes last year. Kamala Harris released her tax returns with her husband. They paid a lot more, I think.
Yeah, I think.
They seem to be making really good money.
Yeah.
And the first debate is tonight. So by the time you listen to this, you probably have listened to it.
What time does it start?
6.
Oh my gosh. To me, that is must-see TV.
Yeah, and so Joe Biden released it has to be all tax return as far as I'm concerned for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because that is what's on top of mind in America. He releases his return the day of the debate. He just fire everything he says, tax return, tax return, tax return, tax return.
Yeah.
Because Americans file taxes. Americans pay taxes. You didn't.
Yeah.
That's what I think you got to hammer.
Especially, so Kamala Harris, they made $3 million last year.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Good for him. Her husband's a big shot attorney, apparently.
Yeah.
She was a prosecutor last year or no?
No,
what
she was
she
a
last
senator.
year?
Yeah, she was a senator.
Oh, stupid me. So the husband made all that money.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here's a good one. Here's a real good one. The Atlantic posted a story that Donald Trump, this is similar to that story that was posted about him mocking soldiers. The problem with those stories is you can't really ever truly back them up, but it doesn't seem too hard to believe.
Yeah.
The new one in The Atlantic is that he mocks his Christian supporters.
Yeah.
Within his internal group.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, he cleared the protests out to go hold that Bible awkwardly, in front of the church and get that photo.
Mm-hmm. And he touched the Pope's hand too. He wanted to hold hands with him.
He tried to hold hands with the Pope.
That little video where they tried to hold hands.
I thought this guy is a man of God.
Yeah. Man of faith.
Praise of Jesus.
A man of faith. He parted those protesters like the Red Sea. What's going on here? Is this all a sham? Is he not Christian Donald?
There's just so much information over decades of how he mocked religious figures and religion itself. And he has repeatedly told people, I love those religious leaders. They're real hustlers. They know how to make money off their followers. And it really upsets me. I actually think it's so offensive to those that are religious. I'm not a religious person, but if I was a religious person, I could never back Donald Trump. He can't even quote a Bible verse.
I know. All of them. I like all of them.
Yeah.
I have many favorites.
Yeah. If you are any bit religious, especially in Christianity or any religion, you know your scriptures.
Yeah.
You just know something. Like you went to Sunday school and you learned something.
You just have to have one of them. It's
You
not
just
even
know how
hard.
many girls I've met with like a,
Yeah.
John 3:12,
Or like the cross behind the ear.
Yeah, it has like a 3:14.
Yeah, and they have a verse at least. You got to know a verse.
No, but don't you remember that interview from 2015-16 before the election where they asked him, what's your favorite verse in the Bible? He danced around, couldn't name one verse.
Not one.
And then they asked him, are you a New Testament guy or an Old Testament guy? He's like, Old Testament.
Well, both. I used to like the old, then I like the new. I like
Nine
them all.
testaments
And
on
then-
both sides.
I like all the
If you didn't take offense to this, he goes, a lot of people tell me that they have the art of the deal, my book, right next to the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
same
ridiculous.
I always say it's the second best book, my book, right next to the Bible.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
And it doesn't stop at Christianity. This is even better. He goes, he's always been appealing to Jewish voters, and he reported that after Washington Post reported that after he had a call with Jewish lawmakers, and he has said that Jews are only in it for themselves, and then he. His daughter Ivanka married a Jewish married into a Jewish family, converted, and he said that this is Michael Cohen saying that years ago he was with Trump when his wife Melania informed him that their son was at a play date with a Jewish girl from his school. Trump goes, "Great, I'm going to lose another one of my kids to your people," to Cohen.
It's just, man. And the way that Christians still blindly support him.
Oh my God.
By like vast majority. It's not even like a toss-up.
Yeah.
I mean, the religious people that I've come across in my life, if you insult their faith, that's almost worse than insulting their family because they place their faith above everything.
Yeah. And that's what I don't understand is the same way that we just talked about the Donald Trump that was talking about balling out, everything was gold, you're fired, and hanging out with Snoop Dogg. How does a Christian person not be like, oh, maybe
pissing on Stormy Daniels?
Yeah, peeing on Stormy Daniels.
No,
how
the
are you,
peeing,
how
I
are
think,
you just?
was,
How does all it take someone to hold a Bible and say, "Love this thing"?
You know why? Because he'll appoint a judge who is pro-life.
And that's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, and I think what happens is Trump is friends with all the big pastors, and those people really control their followings.
Yeah.
So they're saying Donald Trump is our dude.
Yeah.
So they're hearing it from so many sides, and you're getting ultimately brainwashed.
Yeah, he played that well.
Yeah.
Well, I think also the issue is they can overlook the faith part and the comments as long as he's building the wall and banning the Muslims.
You're right. I think the Muslim ban did wonders for the Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about there's a Christian group that is paying, Kyle Rittenhouse? The guy who, brought the AK-47, shot a couple protesters?
Who can't forget him?
There's a Christian group paying for his legal defense. So we got to jump into some ads, and then we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
Pete?
Hey, guess who it is? That's right. It's me. It's Pete. I bet you didn't guess that, but I hate to ruin the surprise, but it is in fact me. And today I'm here to tell you about our wonderful, wonderful sponsor. You probably have already guessed it as well. Why? Because I've talked about them on here so much and we've done so many giveaways with them. But I did some convincing, dropped a little hint at this last episode, but our friends over at New Republic and Josh, the CEO, a fellow Kathy and group chat listener, I talked him into a code. I did it. It took some, I had to butter him up a little bit. I had to offer him a couple things here and there, but he did in fact give me a code for all of our group chat listeners. Now, before I get to that, New Republic is an amazing men's and women's shoe wear line. They're coming out with all types of new shoes, but most importantly, their big winners are this one I'm wearing right here. You guys can't see it, but this is their Apollo sneaker. This is a great, lightweight, action leather. It's got everything you need in one shoe. Great for on the run. athletic feel, incredibly comfortable for all day comfort. I swear by these guys. These are literally the only shoe I wear besides my running shoes. And I never run. So I really wear these shoes all day, every day. That and their signature Kurt sneaker that just released in all the different colorways. I talked about that before, but if you want to head over to shopnewrepublic.com and use the code Kathy. Now, this isn't going to be available forever. So if you wait, you might miss out on it. Don't come complaining to me if that happens. So don't miss out. Head over to shopnewrepublic.com. You're going to put in the code Kathy. You're going to get $10 off your order. That's right. You're going to get $10 off your order. Guys, trust me. These shoes are amazing for both men and women now. They make women's sizes and men's sizes. The designs, they're stylish. Again, all day comfort. You can't go wrong with the New Republic shoe. Go ahead over there, support Shop New Republic, support Josh and their team. They make incredible shoes, and always be on the lookout. They have a bunch of great new shoes and boots coming in this fall season as well. So stay tuned for those. I'm sure we'll have more coming from them. But thanks again to our sponsors there. And make sure you head over to melrosestreetjournal.com and sign up for the newsletter if you aren't already. I know we talk about that a lot, but I'm working closely with Chrissy and Dan, two people that work on the newsletter and a couple other things we have in the works over here at Group Chat. So please go ahead and support us over there. And a big thing, if you've already subscribed to us, we stopped for a little while because we were just re-strategizing everything. And you might be getting the emails lost in your spam folder now, or just missing them because you stop seeing them for a little while there. So make sure you put a priority on those and get those out of your spam folder, or check your spam folder, because they're in there and we're writing them every Monday and Thursday. Mondays are built for everything you need to know going into the week. All that little small talk, all those little pieces of information you're going to need that is going to really help that small talk at the beginning of all your little Zoom meetings and calls that you have. Plus, on Thursdays, we're taking deep dives to current and popular subjects. Like this week's is going to be about independent artists, coming off of Kanye's whole rant about independent artists getting on boards, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go into those deep dives as well. So don't miss out. Go ahead and support us there as well. Tell a friend to go subscribe as well if you are ready. And that's going to do it for us. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And thank you to all of you for supporting all the brands that sponsor us and help us out. So that's going to do it for me, Pete. That's right. Me, Pete, the guy, your boy Pete, at your boy Pete on Instagram, on Twitter. Don't go find me on LinkedIn. I'm not active there. And that's it. That's going to do it for me. Let's go back into the episode.
All right, we're back. This is insane.
Yes.
We just talked about Trump mocking the Christian base. Now, keep in mind, that's, hearsay, but seems believable. That being said, as a true testament to how crazy things are, there is a Christian group that has raised more than $500,000 for the defense of Kyle Rittenhouse, the young man who showed up to the protests with an AK-47 looking gun and shot two people. Did he shoot two or three people?
Two died, I think.
Two died, maybe shot three. Either way, the point is, we all saw the video.
2 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, and possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18.
So, Christian group is here to help. I'm confused.
I don't understand what part of this guy is religious. The mom is being paraded around at events like she's a fucking hero.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, what part of this is the religious part?
I don't know, man. And I don't know.
Because the goal was $500,000. It was already at $524,000 when this article came out. So they exceeded their goal.
This is what I don't understand. No matter where you fall, no matter nothing, the guy killed people. And the guy showed up. He's 17 years old. Why are you praising any mom whose kid is 17 with an assault rifle showing up out of town to a protest? What are you doing? You killed people. Like no one, I know that people were, I've heard the stories, and I'll admit that I don't know every little detail, but I heard that people were taunting him and all this stuff, but you killed people.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no justification for the fundraiser.
I don't get it.
What's the explanation?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Forget if there's the alt-right, the mob was attacking him. He had no choice. Okay?
Yep.
So you, in your twisted sense of reality and what actually happened, I can see dumb people rationalizing that in their head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how can you rationalize donating over $500,000 for this?
It's insane.
Yeah, that's what I don't get, that you feel like you are fighting for what's right here. Like, what is so overwhelmingly right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. And once again, you know that it's the same Christian. It's the people that are blindly supporting Trump and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm real curious about that story, how that one plays out.
Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, who in the world is Charlotte Kirk? And why is she related to this Ron Meyer sort of scandal and all these different stories of people being like outed?
Charlotte Kirk might be the most powerful woman in Hollywood.
Who is she?
She got, so she was involved with having an affair with Ron Meyer, who was the ousted chairman of Universal.
Yep.
Who had other gambling, just living life.
The high life.
Yeah. Something came out yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter that there's been a gag order on a many-year battle with the former Warner Brothers chief, who recently, I think he stepped down. I don't know if he stepped down yet. Kevin Tsujihara, and he was the CEO of Warner Brothers, former CEO of Warner Brothers. James Packer, the billionaire that everybody knows.
Australian billionaire. Wasn't he with Mariah Carey at one point?
He's around girls.
Yeah.
We've seen him hop in and out of cars.
Yes. Yes.
Hop
in and out of cars.
Brett Ratner, another guy we've seen hop
knows
in.
a few young ladies.
Yes, knows a few young ladies. And Avi Lerner, another big movie producer.
Okay.
Apparently, there was a night at the Bel Air Hotel years ago where James Packer invited Charlotte Kirk to meet with Kevin Tsujihara.
Okay.
And pretty much say, to help your career, you should meet this guy.
Meet.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
In Bel Air Hotel in some suite.
A little sweet meat.
It intensifies quickly. She texts him. She's like, what is going on here? Something to that effect. He goes, be cool.
Okay. We know what that means.
Yes.
That means...
Yes.
These opportunities are coming your way.
And apparently when after Be Cool came out, your boy Kevin was naked.
I was going to say, did he get naked?
Yo, Be Cool. You turn around, Kevin's naked.
Yeah.
Why do they always get naked? Why is it a thing?
Because it's a power trip.
They like
You just get naked?
The robe open.
Yeah.
What's the point of these sick people going after girls against their will? You go find girls that are down for this stuff.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
That's what I don't get. Where is it just the power?
Look what he wrote. James Packer said, the opportunity of a lifetime for you, an introduction to the most important man you can meet. And then Kirk writing of Tsujihara, not very nice, very pushy. He just wants to fuck.
I mean, if you're a rich girl or guy and you throw the right event, you will have, if you're a rich girl, plenty of guys that are willing to sleep with you. If you're a rich guy, there's plenty of rich girls that would be willing to sleep with you. Why do you have to resort to this?
And by the way, Kevin Tsujihara, who is married with kids, CEO of Warner Brothers, was just doing some cocaine when she walked into the room.
Cocaine.
I mean, if a rich billionaire girl had a party, you think
be cool.
You think Pete would be cool?
Oh, I'd be cool.
If what?
If some rich billionaire girl threw a party and said, Pete, be cool, he'd be cool.
Oh, Pete would be cool. He would be real cool.
I'll get naked. I'll do the cocaine. I'm cool.
That's my point. Get people that are willing.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that are willing. And I just don't. Yeah.
Or this thing is so, I don't want to get into the weeds on this one. This thing is so nuts because it turned into like, a quiet settlement where Charlotte Kirk and her boyfriend were promised a movie that Brett Ratner would produce and Avi Lerner would be involved with and Packer was involved and Tsujihara would greenlight. I mean, it became so many people involved And then when they went to pursue the lawsuit, there was a gag order to keep everyone's name silent. So all the names are these pseudonyms that no one knew who they were.
Got it.
Now that shit is leaked, and it's like all these most powerful people in Hollywood, and it's like this is what everyone thinks Hollywood is.
Yeah.
And it just showed that shit, it still might be.
Yeah. It's almost as if you basically do records from 1990 to 2005. If you have executives that have booked rooms that live in LA in the Beverly Hills Hotel Bel Air.
That's it. If you've booked a hotel in the same city you live,
I mean, you just stayed there.
Not a pandemic. Wasn't a. I mean, there was no pandemic to the 1990s.
They really revolutionized the staycation. Wasn't there already a movie called Be Cool? I was going to say that could be the movie, you know, starring Charlotte Kirk.
You basically have to,
I mean, they're going to have to. She has to start.
Yeah, directed by Brent
And here's the
Ratner.
kicker: this woman has autism.
How is that possible?
Like, this is just the worst story. Like, what they did to this woman. And Avi Lerner's on, I think, quoted in saying, like, oh, we have to give this girl a role, you know, because she's friends with these people. Like, it's really, really sad.
I just don't get, this is what I don't get. I just truly don't understand. Is like, how do you just need to have sex with something so bad?
But it can't be that, because you can pay for escorts. You can pay for that.
Yeah.
And they have more than enough money to do so. And they'll be plenty good looking enough.
But you have a family, and look, I'm not, maybe you have a agreement with your wife. I'm not here to judge. But you have a family, you run a massive corporation, but you just can't help but try to get some coke and a half-willing girl into a hotel suite.
Right.
I mean, it's insane. What's even funnier is, I mean, it's not funny, but the movie that Brett Ratner and these guys were going to kind of help Charlotte Kirk and her boyfriend make was Charlotte Kirk would star in and her boyfriend would direct, is a movie called Nicole and OJ, about Nicole Brown and OJ Simpson. Like, that's the movie that was going to get made. And F. Lee Bailey, who apparently is a friend of Brett Ratner, who was one of the attorneys in the case, was going to be a like consultant on it. I mean, like, you couldn't just do like a regular movie. You had to do Nicole Brown and OJ Simpson. Like, this is the crazy, I'm telling you, this web of Charlotte Kirk, these men, and what they did is fucking out of control.
Yeah. But do you think there's going to be any other consequence other than them writing checks?
Well, no, I mean, I have a feeling in today's Hollywood, they're all going to lose their job. Like, you're not going to see Brett Ratner doing Rush Hour 4. You know, like, I don't think he's going to get.
I think it's 5.
I like the Rush Hour.
Like, I don't think he's getting the phone call for that.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think
shame.
all these people's Hollywood careers are essentially over.
Look, I know harassment and assault and all these terrible things aren't unique to entertainment. Like, they're happening in circles all around the world. But what I think it is unique is how publicly accepted it was, like, on a movie set to do these things.
Yeah.
And no one cared.
Yeah.
Like,
Because the crazy thing with Harvey Weinstein, for instance, I'm sure Brett Ratner, a lot of other people, is like, you could point to stars who also did it.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they could say, I made her career.
Yeah.
I had sex with her in this same suite.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, all right. I really do hate auditioning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what's crazy is like, the business was actually working that way.
Yes. I mean, that's what I always said. I think hearing the hotel manager of the Beverly Hills Hotel or Hotel Bel Air had the craziest stories
for sure.
of all time.
Of all time.
Especially in the 90s and early 2000s.
I think last week.
I agree, but they're cell phones, so I think they take a little more precaution.
I bet in the 90s it was fuck wide.
Yes.
I mean,
90s, I think 5 years ago.
Pre-iPhone. I think post-iPhone, everyone got hip to game.
I'm not, I mean, early iPhone.
Sure, no, 2010 on. I think
2015. iPhone's only like 11 years old, right? 12 years
2007, the first iPhone came
Okay,
out.
so 13. I'm saying 2015.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Better cameras.
Yeah, better pixels.
Yeah.
Maybe
Remember,
that is so-and-so.
You also didn't, like, even... I have no pictures on my early iPhone. It was just not common to take pictures for everything.
Yeah, I think if it weren't for Instagram, we'd all have a lot fewer photos.
I'll tell you what, if all these creeps only knew the day Steve Jobs stood on that stage and said, this is going to revolutionize, like, fuck, party's over. Damn it. All right. Okay, how about this one? The K-pop group, BTS, which has been literally everywhere, especially if you're at all tuned into K-pop land, which if you aren't, it's significantly larger than you could ever imagine. But they are signed to a record label called Big Hit Entertainment, which has filed for an IPO. The interesting part of this story here is that's already interesting. It's billions of dollars. What's it going to be?
4.1 billion.
Okay, so
upon trading, if it's anything like the U.S. stock market, because it's getting listed in Korea, 20 billion.
You saw what these little K-pop people did on TikTok.
Yeah.
They could probably push that thing to 100 billion somehow on Robinhood. So they filed for an IPO. That's already a cool story. But here's the thing: they gave the members of BTS shares in the company. So now when they go public, these guys are going to make like $10 million off of their shares.
Which is, I mean,
really cool.
It's extremely smart to take care of them, because what are they going to do? I just became really rich. You guys can own a piece of BTS. I mean, BTS globally is one of the biggest brands in the world in entertainment. And now as a fan, it's cool to own a piece of something you're so passionate about.
Yep.
I mean, this is what's happening. The stock market has now become the brand market.
Yep.
Because the best brands have the most overvalued stocks, AKA Peloton, which is now worth nearly $30 billion.
I'm sorry about that.
Tesla, overvalued.
Yeah.
All these companies, Tim Apple, all these people, the brands are now worth a significantly, it's insane.
Yep.
If you have a good brand, what your stock is worth.
You know what makes me happy is that I always wondered, I was like, man, there's 7 members in this group.
Well, they're ever going to make money.
Who knows what the manager's take is, what the label's take is. I was like, they're bigger. It's the biggest thing in the world. I feel like it's going to end poorly for the members of the group. Not to say that they're not producing the great, these records that are going to, I was like, it's just going to get diluted. Someone's going to steal from them, but at least now they're set.
And there was horror stories about K-pop.
Yeah.
About the K-pop world, that like these guys were like crazy overworked.
Yeah.
They were suicidal. Not necessarily BTS, but K-pop groups. So good for them, man.
Yeah, it's
Talk
great.
about a new way to approach this whole thing.
Yeah.
Kanye is worried about masters. And these freaking guys have stake in an IPO. Sheesh. All right. Next up, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the TikTok world. TikTok's, I would say, biggest male star is a young man by the name of Bryce Hall. Mm-hmm. We've talked about him multiple times on this show. And he has decided to launch his very own podcast. Now, that's not a big shocker. I think the shocker is what the content is about. About finance. So Bryce Hall is saying he thought that money was an object. He has learned differently and is in the process of learning differently. This podcast is called Capital University, and it sounds like he's going to be educating his young audience on financial literacy.
I think this is great. On and listen to the first 15 minutes, he said.
Yeah, so he partnered with a guy that on the internet is known as Pomp, P-O-M-P.
Okay.
He's really well known in the crypto space. He has a really big business podcast. I think he has it's a top 10 tech business podcast, Pomp does. And he gets really good guests. Portner was on there actually last week.
Got it.
And he gets a big CEOs. Chamat's gone on there. Like he gets legitimate people. So he partnered with him to do this podcast. They released the first kind of teaser, which is 13 minutes. I listened to it on the walk over here. A lot of interesting tidbits in the 13 minutes. I highly recommend everyone. I'll try to give as much as possible, but it's super entertaining. Bryce Hall is very self-aware.
Yeah.
Which was very like kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm 21 and all I do is fucking party and I'm making millions of dollars, you can do it too. Like you can figure this out.
Yeah.
Like you can figure out how to make money. And like he's not pretending like he's this like
talent.
Genius talent. He called social media people the athletes of the internet, which I thought was a good analogy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
Then he just started dissing the Hype House.
A lot of info
On
on
the
the
financial podcast?
Yes.
They're all broke. You want to have terrible financial literacy?
Yes. So
He did?
Thomas Petro from the Hype House,
Yes,
he said is the highest earner in the Hype House. And he broke down exactly how much money he makes. $70,000 a month on YouTube AdSense. He said the Hype House guys are whoring themselves out to this energy drink called Bang.
Everyone is.
10K a post.
Yep.
That's what he said they're getting.
Yeah.
And then he's like, they probably have a few other brand deals. He's like, I would guess Tom Petro, the highest earner there, is making $100,000 a month, max $150,000. And then talked about how he's building a brand. He launched merch, apparently did $1 million the first quarter. And then the last diss on them, he said, well, I'm building wealth and equity. They're going to be on the side of the freeway doing TikTok dances for cash.
He said that?
That's unbelievable.
So the beef
All
is
I'm into
real.
this.
The beef is real, I guess.
I love it.
Did it sound real? It sounded authentic? It sounded like
I mean,
real
it sounded
resentment?
like he really despises the Hype House.
I like that.
I don't think you could have made that part
I want the
up.
real thing, you know? Like
Yeah.
when it's leading up to like a boxing match or whatever, I
Yeah.
want real
Yeah,
hatred.
yeah.
And guess who's on the first episode? Mark Cuban.
Wow.
This is good.
Yeah.
Tim Apple's tuning in.
Tim Apple's on episode 2. Zoom out.
You want to know financial strategy?
It's a 20-second
Just pitch
episode.
the screen and go
No,
out.
but when we
And
talk
that's
about,
it. Thank you for having
I
me.
guarantee you, like even the first 13 minutes, if you're a 19-year-old kid that worships these guys,
Yeah.
there was actual information being shared that will help you with financial literacy
Yeah.
that
That's
you're
great.
not learning in college.
Yep.
Like even the concept of owning a business versus just collecting a check.
Yep.
What 19-year-old knows that?
Yep.
Yeah. That's great. Good for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe is he the leader of the TikTok world for guys?
I'd say he's like the most popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the most popular.
Might be the smartest.
That's why he's the leader.
Yeah.
Call him Xi Jinping.
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
He's talked on a podcast before that I listened to where he guessed on it. And yeah, he said the same thing. He like opened up and said he knew everything he's doing is just for the hype of it.
Yeah.
Just to be talked about. He knows everything he's doing. He's doing it all on purpose.
We don't say the H word.
Yeah.
What did I say?
We don't fuck
Hype.
with Hype
Oh,
House.
We don't fuck
Oh
with
yeah.
that.
Fuck the hype house. Yeah, he hates his kids.
Next up in Go Public land, Hims.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing most of our followers know what Hims is or have seen the ads. They do a lot of ads. A lot of hair regeneration, a lot of Viagra type pills.
Yeah. Erectile dysfunctions, hot there.
Love that
Yeah,
just pop
they've really,
2 or 3 of those a day.
To me, it's like if you mixed Glossier with like the over-the-counter men's pharmacy section.
Yes.
You get Hims. They're set to go public, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, unclear what their revenue is. They said last year they did over $100 million. This year they think they're going to do 250. They're going public via SPAC, a good old SPAC.
Gotta love a SPAC.
I mean,
Have we broke down what a SPAC is? Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good Instagram video from
Brent Saunders broke it down beautifully.
on the pod.
Yes,
Great.
today's episode.
And I actually talked about it.
Earlier
that out.
I worked on a SPAC in 2006 before
See,
SPACs were hot.
I feel like that's a thing that's a very commonly used term that I don't know if like has been simply broken down.
I will say at 22, when I was investment banking and got assigned to work on a SPAC as an analyst, I was blown away. I was like, this can't be true.
You just
These
raised-
3 guys are just flying around saying we're going to buy a company in the next 2 years and here's $100 million. I was like, this is so stupid.
And, you know, it's so stupid. 15 years later, you get $500 million.
Yeah. I feel like SPACs are like so 2020. Like, I think SPACs are going to be the biggest
Yeah.
thing.
Because the people who start the SPACs and raise the money, there's no downside if they buy a shitty company. They're going to be forced to buy the company or they don't get the potential upside or the management fees.
Zero downside.
Unless they put their own money up, which
We
they're
need a
not going to.
SPAC.
Yeah.
We need a group chat SPAC.
Yeah.
Group SPAC.
Group's back.
Anyway.
We don't need 100. Let's start with 50. Someone give us 50 million. We'll go find a better business.
It's fine. Look at us. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just trust us.
We'll
It's
buy a
50 million.
podcast.
Okay.
Apply Bryce Hall.
Yeah, for real. Good investment. And then let's talk about, Warren Buffett invested in Snowflake, which we talked about, I think, a week or so ago. He has disclosed his amount. What's it looking like?
So they invested $600 million. They made $800 million.
They made 800.
Yes.
It's not up to 800
No,
from
they
six-
made $800 million in like a week.
Tim, can you do that?
We're working on it. We're doing the long game right now.
Got it.
You know, today's a down day, but we'll see.
Well, we still have our chins up.
We do.
On down days, chins are up.
Oh my gosh.
Tim Apple's using the Berkshire strategy that made Warren Buffett.
Yeah, you're right.
We have to hold Apple for the next 60 years so that we can make any money.
And that's why I'm doing it too, because I knew that before you said that on it.
There you go. Okay, so yeah.
That's it.
So good for Warren.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got a little bit extra, thrown into that fortune of his.
Exactly.
Okay, let's wrap it up with as seen on social. What have you guys seen in the last week on social media that we need to talk about?
Mine is Pierce Brosnan, better known as James Bond, is asking $100 million for his Malibu Broad Beach house. He bought this house in 2000, 2 lots, 5.1 and 2.25. I mean, it's 5 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms. It's beautiful. It feels like you're in Southeast Asia. I think it's Thai inspired.
Yep.
100 freaking million. There's no way Pierce Brosnan made 100 million in his career.
GoldenEye?
What does that mean? He doesn't mean he got
Isn't
100
he Bond?
Yeah, what's Bond get? Bond's not like
Bond.
Bond's not like being an Avenger.
True.
Maybe though. No?
You think James Bond's getting 25 a flick?
Back then?
For James Bond?
James Bond's a big
You think
franchise.
so, right? It's the biggest.
I don't think he's I think the franchise is bigger than the actor.
But don't you think being anointed the new Bond is like one of the biggest?
I think it's big for his career, and I think he made a lot of money. But $100 million net in his career, I don't think he made it.
Okay. I can't really argue you.
I'm not Pierce's management. I can't speak
I wish
to it.
I had.
But doesn't matter. He's about to make it on this house.
Yep. Okay. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. Anand?
As seen on social, the founder of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, wrote a blog post yesterday that's gotten a lot of reactions, both positive and negative. And the basic premise of the blog post was he has a specific mission that he started Coinbase with. And if whatever their actions aren't core to the mission, they're not going to do. So basically, he's not going to give in to the mob to back causes that aren't core to what Coinbase does. And he said, I know employees are going to resign. I know people are going to hate me for this, but we have a mission at Coinbase to do. Their mission is an open financial system for everyone.
Yep.
That's their core mission. And he's like, I'm going to focus on that because I'll provide more good for society if I solve that rather than donating money to a cause.
Yeah.
And he said, so many CEOs I know firsthand feel the same way, but just don't have the balls to say it.
Yeah. Play the long game.
Yep.
All right. Mine is, you know what mine is? I've seen quite a bit of stories about, it seems like we always talk about Joe Rogan here. So I'm going to talk about him again. It seems like there's a lot of trouble brewing with him at Spotify already.
Mm-hmm.
And the employees are threatening to
Saw that.
to walk. If they don't censor him. And that they've already pulled episodes with like Milo Yiannopoulos and Alex Jones and all those people. But employees are currently threatening to walk out if they don't start to censor good old Joe.
Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of drama. I mean, it's been, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't let, unfortunately in this case, I mean, Joe Rogan is not a national security threat. Joe Rogan is not harming anybody. At the end of the day, he's an entertainer. Like,
yeah.
If Spotify felt that was the best decision for their company, then they're allowed to do that. It's like,
and if you're a founder and CEO, I think it's super important to know your employees aren't slaves. So if they hate you so much, leave.
Yeah.
But it's also, to me, kind of similar to the Coinbase story that, like, if this is what you believe in, then believe in it.
Yeah.
And it's like the same way you can't be held captive by corporations or by shareholders or what you shouldn't be. You also shouldn't be by your employees. And I feel like this is a new concept. It's a new 2020 concept where it's so common for employees to threaten this type of thing over something like this. This isn't poor treatment. This isn't any of that. This is, we don't like the fact that Joe Rogan speaks to these people.
Yeah. And I think capitalism, for the most part, wins out, meaning if you're an employee of Spotify and you can't get another job, you're not going to, doesn't matter how vile you think Joe Rogan is, you're staying. Yeah. And the people that are speaking out are the ones that think they can go get another job, so go get another job.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, well, we'll see what happens, but a lot going on.
Yep.
That's all we got, guys. Do we have any shout outs, any announcements, anything like that, Peter?
Peter, let's not fuck this up.
Let's run through it, Peter.
Go.
Go.
Okay, first one from Chris V. Chris V out in New York. Shout out. This is very suspect to me when I first read this. I don't know if I believe this, but I'll just read it.
We're going to read it anyway.
Shout out to Michael Scott and his bride on their recent marriage, COVID style. That's all it says.
Okay.
First of all, Michael Scott is the main character in The Office.
Okay.
So I feel like he's pulling my leg.
Okay. Maybe.
Before the details. So I can't confirm or deny any of that.
Okay, well, it seems like we have a good vetting process over here with our shout outs.
Sorry. I needed to explain to the people what the heck's going on back here.
Yeah.
The second one is a shout out to Liam Kavanagh from London. Hit up D already about this, but he's been a Kathy since October and he hasn't missed an episode since. He's launching his first startup and he's entered into a video pitch competition to win 15,000 euros.
Nice.
So he wants and is asking for the Kathy's help to go vote for him. So if you head over to @Meetbell, MEETBEL, click the link in their bio and go ahead and go vote for them to win this prize.
Okay, great.
And lastly, we have one. So this one was supposedly my fault. So the person thought, but
is
it
it Johnny
actually
Vacay?
wasn't. Huh?
Johnny Vacay?
Yes.
Okay.
So Johnny Vacay was mad.
He goes, "This. I'm gonna write exactly what he wrote before we read into the shout out.
Sure.
That's it. Pete's got to go. Fire his ass. He forgot my shout out on Monday's episodes. I should have known better and DM'd you directly. Wanted to shout out my fiance Whitney on her 30th birthday, which was on Sunday. Happy birthday, Whitney!
Happy birthday,
Whitney!
And let me clarify, I'm no longer in the DMs. So Kai, who is on the team, went in and favorited it and then didn't tell me about it.
Okay.
So that it looked like I had gone
So
in.
you want to throw Kai under the bus publicly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I also did in the messages. And then he went in and apologized in the messages. So let's have full transparency here. Wasn't my fault. But
all right. Rough start for Cobra Kai.
I'm a pro at this stuff. But Cobra Kai. But the system is working flawlessly for the most part. So if you want to go get a shout out for anybody or anything, except if you're asking for like
to make America great again.
Yeah, sure, maybe that at the most.
Hey, technically, in our effort to be fair,
yes,
we should give everyone a shot.
Okay.
Okay.
Find people both sides of the shout out.
Find people both sides on the shout out.
Yes. So if you want a shout out, head over to our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, streetjournal.com.
And we have a hot newsletter coming out on Thursday.
Yes.
It's about independent music artists. It's about Russ and Coda the Friend. I don't even know who Coda the Friend is. And
a nice guy.
Apparently making bank, all these independent artists.
Yes.
So there's a whole breakdown that our team put together. So check it out.
And breaking news, Pete's hero, David Dobrik, is giving away 5 Teslas to encourage people to vote.
Wow.
How do you get it? You vote?
You have to share it. And I guess doesn't really, I don't know.
Pete,
it's just to get more followers. Come on.
Get on it, Pete.
I already did it. That's why he's saying it.
Oh. And someone said he's not an American citizen. I can't confirm or deny this. So is this just
he is not an American citizen?
Oh God, he's a traitor.
He is a DACA. He's a DACA recipient.
Is
he's
he
a Russian
Yes.
spy.
No way.
Wow.
He can't leave the country. That's why he can't. That's why he doesn't travel anywhere or do anything else.
How could his vlog be popping if he's not going anywhere?
Yeah, let Trump get wind of this little giveaway.
Yeah, he's gonna.
He'll give away
Off
David
with you.
Dobrik.
Yeah, you might want to be careful. He's giving away 5. He keeps giving away all these Teslas.
God.
Companies just keep partnering with him. I haven't won yet, but I feel like this is in the cards.
Oh, this isn't the first time he's giving away
Oh,
Teslas.
no.
He always gives that
That's
Tesla.
all he
Oh,
does.
so it's all bullshit.
Does Tesla get behind this?
No, it's companies that are coming to him that are buying the cars and then just paying him to post, and then that's the giveaway. You have to follow them.
Oh.
Or
Because
in this,
what's better than getting a Tesla?
nothing.
Props to Elon, man, for you got that's
I mean,
all free
good for
marketing.
Elon.
Yeah.
They're banking in cars like G Fuel.
I bet David Dobrik has sold a lot of Teslas.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. All right. That's it. We got to run. We will see you in a couple days. Make sure you head over to melrosestreetjournal.com. Subscribe to our newsletter so you can find out who's making bank independently. Fuck the label, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Fuck the man.
And a cool new thing we're doing, we're going to put, instead of saying all the ads at the end here, we're going to go ahead and put them all in the description of the podcast.
That. Thank you, man. Making my life easier finally.
Yes.
Okay, go to the description of the podcast. You can find out where else to find us if you don't hear enough from us. That's it. We'll see you in a couple days. Hang in there. We got a hot night of debates. Let's see where we stand in the morning.
Yes.
Bye-bye.